What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I actually have some good news to share with you guys today regarding Social Security. So there was a Social Security subcommittee on Wednesday, just last Wednesday, and it was interesting because I watched the whole thing. Of course, I'll break it up and I'll show you some different parts of this subcommittee, but it was basically focused on Social Security overpayments. However, you did have some lawmakers talk about Social Security reform and why more money needs to go to the program. And so we're going to listen to Representative Pasquarello. He's going to be talking about the fact that Social Security does need more funding. And he's also going to talk about how raising the full retirement age would actually hurt beneficiaries who are currently receiving Social Security. So we're going to talk about that in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification, clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Threads, you can at the TEC Show Live. Okay, so I have to apologize when I show you this clip because the audio is a little messed up. Okay, and the whole hearing was like this, where the audio was cutting in and cutting out, and that's only because when they were talking loud, the mics were clipping. Okay, so I have no control over that, so I'm just preparing you now. You're going to hear some kind of just distorted audio. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the clip. It's about 5 minutes. It starts off kind of slow, but it does get there in the end. And actually, the chairman made a promise at the end. So this is actually good when it comes to Social Security and not cutting the program, because at the end of this back and forth, you heard the chairman say that he is not going to cut. He has no plans to cut Social Security. Now, that's very, very important for people who are currently receiving Social Security, being that this is coming from the subcommittee on Social Security. Okay, let's go ahead and play the clip. Here we go.
You next, gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Pasquarello.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, afternoon, wherever it is. Been a long day so far.
Yes.
And we already had a meeting this morning, which is a good meeting. So we're still working. Thanks to the chairman and the ranking member. You almost could predict what I'm going to say, Mr. Chairman. But let me have the chance to say it anyway. Let's set the record straight. Mr. Chairman, Chairman Ferguson, who I respect tremendously. This hearing, to me, is another smokescreen. It serves as a cover-up for an extremist agenda to gut Social Security. That's how I perceive it. When I look at the numbers, when I look at all the suggestions, and don't forget, we go back a little ways. There's we were going to cut Social Security when I got into the Congress in the late 90s, and the suggestion was from the president at that time. I won't mention his name. It's not important here. We're looking at principle. Let's increase the age where you're eligible.
Was his name Eisenhower? Is that about the time you got here? My dear friend.
I'll make believe I didn't hear that.
I'm just teasing.
The second way was to privatize Social Security. Now, when I was running for office in 1996 against an incumbent, when I was running, I went to my first campaign stop of senior citizens, and I thought they were going to ask me about all things other than Social Security. I didn't really think it was an issue at that time until I got to the Congress. Was fortunate enough to be elected. And then I saw raising of age of eligibility. And when you looked at the number, Madam Director, I mean, you were blown away of what it did to Social Security in terms of its bottom line. Because that's what we're really talking about here. And so Cutting Social Security has a history. How you do it has a history. How you camouflage it has a history. So we thought in adding the age limit, going up to 97 or 67. You're listening. Going up to 67, you know, wasn't really supposed to affect the bottom line of Social Security. It did. It did. And isn't it true, Madam Director, isn't it true, correct me if I'm wrong, that every year we raise the retirement age, it's a 7% cut in the benefits of Social Security? Is that true or false?
True. Our actuary, our chief actuary at the Social Security Administration, has reviewed the effects of raising the retirement age. And yes, it is about 7% a year.
Thank you. So I don't question that we should be looking at to see if operations cost more than it should. In fact, that's what we were talking about this morning. Gee, it just happened we were talking about the same thing on the same day. It's one of our nation's greatest success stories. You've heard the chairman. You've said it yourself. You've said it, ranking member. It's lifted more Americans out of poverty than any other federal program. In fact, I believe that if we would have kept the principles that how Social Security was laid out, we wouldn't have as many problems in federal programs as we do right now. So there's 90 years here. After 90 years, Social Security still stands as a monument to decency, dignity, and hard-working Americans. We are proud of this program. Republicans are proud, Democrats are proud. Yet, through that storied history, Social Security has been under attack. We always want to make it cheaper if possible. How you do that, no one's really figured out, except that we put in these alternatives and it doesn't work. So,
well, my dear friend,
yes, sir.
Acknowledged that he's 29 seconds over his time.
Well, I know that you'd give me a little bit more time.
I'll give
if
you.
I asked.
Okay, you didn't even have to ask, and I gave it to you.
Thank you.
So,
I'm almost done.
well, I believe because we got a lot to do today, and I know your passion for this, Billy. I really do, and we do share the same view that cutting benefits is not the right path. So we share that.
Don't say that, Mr. Chairman, because your own study committee came up with a report that does exactly that. Now,
well,
I'm trying to be kind and charitable here today.
But this committee has not, and nothing will go through this committee that does. So with
Thank
that,
you. I'm glad to hear that.
So with that, I will yield now to.
Okay, so you saw that exchange at the very end there, and so you have the chairman, Ferguson, Representative Ferguson, basically saying that that anything that comes through the subcommittee, the Social Security subcommittee, he's not going to have anything that has cuts in it. Now, they did plan. Okay, they put together they did this study. And when I say they, I'm talking about the Republicans in the House. They did a study, and that part of that study would have some cuts for Social Security. And so now it's good to hear, at least he was called on the carpet about that whole study that they did. And he said that there will be no cuts as far as he's concerned, as far as going through his committee. Now, because it's Social Security, you would think that any proposal to make cuts to Social Security should come through the subcommittee for Social Security. That would make sense. Now, there is no absolute guarantee that it would have to come through the subcommittee. It could come from somewhere else. But the fact that he said that, the fact that the chairman said that, I think that's good news, because he's saying right there, we're not going to make any cuts to Social Security benefits. So I thought that was good. And then one more thing when it comes to cuts to Social Security, you saw the commissioner there. They were talking about raising the full retirement age. And she was saying if you raise the full retirement age, for every year that you raise that full retirement age, it's a 7% cut. And so if you're raising it 3 years, that's going to be a 21% cut. Now, this will not impact people who are currently receiving Social Security, so I should get that clear. but it will affect the people who haven't started collecting Social Security yet, because they're going to have to wait longer, which means the time frame that they'll be collecting Social Security will be 3 years shorter if they made it for 3 years. So that's the 21% cut. So you have politicians out there, and this is what really gets me. They're talking about this disaster when it comes to the program. Social Security program will be insolvent, and this is, we have to do something, and that's great. We do have to do something. I completely agree with them, but they're saying that there's going to be a 23% cut if we do nothing, but they want to raise the full retirement age as the solution, which if they raise the full retirement age, guess what? It's going to be a 21% cut. And so we would see a 21% cut much earlier than if we waited 10 years and we saw the 23% cut if lawmakers do nothing. Now, I have faith that the lawmakers are going to do something, so that won't be an issue. But when they're talking about raising that full retirement age, and right now they're talking about raising it to 69 or 70. And so the reality is that would be a cut to Social Security if they decide to do that. I want to know what you guys think about this, so let me know down below. I think it is good news that we did get, at least we got the chairman to say, yes, I don't plan on making any cuts. I'm not voting for a bill that makes any cuts to Social Security. So we'll have to see if he holds to that. And I will be following him to make sure that, because he said this, I'm going to follow and make sure that he's going to hold to that. And if there's a bill on the floor, even if it doesn't go through the subcommittee, if there's a bill on the floor and he votes for that bill to cut Social Security, then he's obviously not keeping his promises. And this is what we need to do. We need to hold these politicians accountable. If they're not keeping to their promises, then guess what? We should vote them out of office. So comments and questions, leave them down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.